Hey guys, welcome back to Training Thanks First Thoughts. It's 19.3. I'm Brandon Dorman.
And I'm Kyle Ruth. And tonight's 19.3 is a 10-minute time cap of a 200-foot overhead walking lunge, 50 box step-ups, 50 strict handstand push-ups, and 200-foot handstand walk. This one's going to be a burner, guys.
Roll that beautiful beam footage.
Dun, dun, dun.
Training Thanks First Thoughts, featuring Mike the Tank.
No one beats the real Mean Gene.
Versus Brandi the Thing.
All right, last week was the return of 16.2. Brandi took the week, and she ended up tying up the score between the two of them. So, Brandon, what's your pick for this week? What's it look like?
Yeah, so if I had to go with one of the two, it'd definitely be Brandi. I think that the box step overs are going to help her, knowing that it's a 20-inch box is going to be a little bit faster for Brandi than Mike. So I picked Mike the first 2 weeks. I'm going to pick Brandi this week.
Okay, I'm going to definitely go with Mike. I'm looking at strict handstand push-ups. I've trained around both of them for the last 3 years. I know Mike's not like the best at strict handstand push-ups, but I also know that Brandi's not the best at strict handstand push-ups. And when it comes to handstand walking under fatigue, I think it's a toss-up, but I'm going to give it to Mike with the strict handstand push-ups here. So what are the keys for Brandi to do well tonight?
So you're right on, and this is something we talked about before we came on air. Brandi's going to have to manage strict handstand push-ups, whereas Mike's going to be able to do bigger sets. But I think that she can get ahead on the box step-ups enough that she can go ahead and scale back or do like sets of 5 really fast on the handstand push-ups, whereas Mike's going to have to do a couple big sets, I think, to be able to catch up to her.
To your point, I've done workouts with box step overs with Brandi, and she is quite good at it. She's got long legs, and a 20-inch box is very different than a 24. But with that said, I think for Mike, he just needs to stay on her shoulder all the way up until they get to the handstand push-ups, and then he should be able to bite off bigger chunks than her. And then, who knows, maybe we'll get a photo finish on that 200-foot
I'm hoping that
walk.
they start that at the same time and see who can grind it out.
Man, that would be fun to watch.
Let's go to you, Trav!
Thanks, guys, and here's tonight's Tale of the Tape. So in the pink corner, we have Brandi McGoldrick, and in the blue corner, we have Mike McGoldrick. Not only are they going to be testing their fitness, but they are going to be testing their marriage. Mike, slightly older, joints are going to be hurting in this one, folks. And we have Brandi, who pretty much looks better on everything else than Michael. Except Mike went individual back in 1976, whereas Brandi's only gone team. And that's all we got for you. This Tale of the Tape was brought to you by the official Trevor team. Get yours now at trainingthinktank.com.
Down, Mike.
Girl, you're working with some ass hand. Your bad jam, make a nigga spend his cash hand. His last hand holds well with your passion. That mad jam, you can ride in the jag hand. With that hand, you can smoke a fire bag hand. A grass hand, got money, I can fast hand. And trash hand, I'm a big time a nigga, yeah. Pull a trigger, yeah. I play a hater flipper, yeah.
All right, we need a clean race. No reps allowed. Good luck.
Right, no reps.
Touch gloves.
Go. And 7, 6, 5. No, we're off.
Before you watch the video, there's 2 major things that we thought it made sense to comment on before you watch the video. The first, movement standards for the step up. 7 of 20 reads. For every repetition of the dumbbell box step up, the athlete starts with both feet on the ground and faces the box. With the dumbbell supported in any position, but not resting on the leg, the athlete must step on top of the box. So when we read this, we interpreted this as you couldn't step laterally onto the box and your body had to be facing the actual box. So we had Brandi and Mike step up on the corner because there are some advantages to not being right in front of a flat portion of the box. It's much more difficult to actually pull your leg up. Now, reviewing that, we're not entirely sure what the actual standard is, so we're going to have to get clarification on that, but we do these workouts literally right after the announcement, and that was a kind of ambiguous thing to read in the rule book. So we'll get clarity onto that. If we find out we're wrong, those scores will just be invalidated. We'll redo the workouts according to the standard and just post those as their actual scores. But we wanted to make sure that we had something going up quick for you to watch. We think it's helpful for people to be able to see other athletes perform the workout, have some thoughts, some strategies, get our first thoughts from our coaches out so that we can discern or kind of navigate all the new information when novel movements like this come out. After watching or after filming this, we also had a video that was posted on Instagram from Adrian Bosman about the standards of the strict handstand push-ups. So we didn't have a chance before the commentary or before any of that. I'm home right now to review all the handstand push-ups to see if they're done according to the standard with all of the flaws that he pointed out. So make sure before you do the workout that you actually go through and watch that video and hold yourself to that standard. So we'll review our video and make sure they're legit. If not, we'll make sure that Brandi and Mike redo the workout, get different scores up. But we still thought the video would be relevant for everybody, and all the first thoughts material should be good enough for you to have some sort of stuff to go off of for your first attempt. So good luck.
I beat you. Ooh, I actually jumped the gun on Brandi on that one. When this workout came out, I freaked out because I saw that it started with 200 feet of lunges, and all I could think of was how fast Brandi is at lunging. So I was pretty nervous. But I'm holding my own right there. There we go.
This is a very interesting open workout. Very different from others.
It's one of the best ones they've ever written.
Why do you say that, Mike?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, just good programming. Good mix of movements, balanced. What did you think when you saw this, Max?
I thought it was a strict handstand push-up workout.
Yeah.
That was the only thought I had.
Brandi?
And I thought that I had
Just
a
a little
shot
bit.
to beat Mia and Brandi at this workout, but I'm not sure now after watching it. All right, so we're still lunging.
Yep.
Still lunging.
I noticed as I got more tired while lunging, I was going less and less in a straight line, and I was like cutting in and out of traffic a little bit.
Can we do this whole commentary without Brandi saying anything?
Maybe.
I'm just admiring my lunges while I can.
Yeah, and halfway through it, I'm thinking, man, I bet I'd be so much faster if I went straight. But I can't make myself go straight right now. I'm really trying to. It's just not happening.
Is this the last?
There we go. Look at that.
Yeah. Is this the last?
Well,
oh yeah, you did have.
I mean, I'm all over the place.
Right leg.
Yeah.
I call that
drunk driving.
I'm winning.
I was gonna say circus, but not circus. What's like a Six Flags called? An amusement park. Amusement park.
Theme
walking.
park.
When I go to a theme park, I just walk into the people that I'm with back and forth. I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't know where we're going.
Was that the last one?
Wow, that's so specific.
Oh yeah, it was the last one. All right, well,
And
shake 'em
now
out.
step ups.
When I heard step ups, I also got freaked out because 2-arm dumbbell step ups are absolute
overs.
Step overs are terrible.
Yeah.
Really, really bad. Then they said 1, and I was like, okay, that's not so bad. You can hold it. And then they said you can hold it any way that you want. And I'm like, all right, there's some hiding on this one now. You can kind of make it pretty comfortable.
It's just legs, like heart rate, anything
At this,
beginning,
yeah,
or-
I mean, I went out, I lunged a lot faster than I wanted to. I didn't expect to be that close to Brandi on it. So like my first 20 step-ups, I felt were really, really slow. I should have.
As a superior biological specimen to the man that's sitting on my right, did you experience fatigue?
Yes.
Okay.
And my legs mainly.
Well, I probably won't get tired because I'm a cyborg.
Yeah.
Your heart rate gets high, but it's not really an issue.
This felt nothing like the 1,000 step-ups we did in our garage a few months ago that Brandi had a great time on, which we can also discuss the results on that
You
one.
cheated on that, I heard.
What she left out is that I came
Skipped out
back.
150 reps.
I like took my pack off halfway through, and she's like, "There's no way you're halfway through." And I was like,
Proves I beat you on the step-ups.
and I was like, "Yes, I am. I'm taking count." So
All right.
when it finished,
I have a serious question.
Okay.
Is there anything that you could tell people to give them a better idea of how to strategize this beginning portion? For anybody that, like, these movements aren't, like the overhead lunge to position or something, or they're not really untrained. Like for somebody that's a competitor, I feel like the beginning portion is just like,
yeah.
go, get through it.
Yeah, I mean, I went I did equal right arm and equal left arm, and I don't think it was necessary. I expected my like shoulder to get tired on the lunge, but it wasn't my shoulder at all. So like, I think you're okay with using your good arm for the majority of it, even if it's like 70% of it.
And you cross over, any reason?
I felt my like shoulder and traps start to slightly fatigue. So I didn't want one to be more blown up than the other going into handstands.
And there was your little
that was one
forget.
of them. I forgot which foot I was on.
Yeah, I mean,
you have to go step up with alternating legs, and apparently when you get tired, it's hard to remember which leg you stepped up with last.
yeah, that was pretty tricky because I was stepping down with different legs each time too, and I was trying to like find a rhythm, but I just kept getting off, and it made it really hard. Luckily, Jordan was just counting reps, and he would tell me no rep. I think there was a couple in there, but the switching of the dumbbell too helped a little bit. The first time I did it, it was really slow. So
Brandi's done 424 or 423. Walk over to the wall. I
think I have like 5 more.
Yeah, you think you're at 44 when. Here's Brandi doing handstand push-ups. Ladies and gentlemen, get ready for the next 5 minutes.
I couldn't remember if you had to
on this
step
wall.
down.
Yeah, Braden's probably right.
About what?
I might have gone.
You
Yeah.
went a little too deep. So you opened with 8 in hindsight.
So I was done at 45.
4:45, and then how long until you do your first?
This is where it gets real exciting.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, you're
I got a
in for a
question.
treat.
After 2 weeks of doing this at the Open, has it gotten tense at the household at all yet? Has there been any bad blood?
Tell the truth.
What is the truth?
No, not too bad.
No, it's been fine.
I was pretty confident going into week 3.
Is it fine
but
just because you would have been a sore loser, but you're winning? But because you're winning.
Last week she beat me on one, or she beat me on 19.2, which tied it up. So that made things like cool in the house. If I went up 2-0, it'd have been pretty
It's
hostile.
not going to be cool this week.
Yeah.
Because, I mean,
Pressure's on now.
I think I'm really winning like
We think.
3-0.
Based on.
Yeah, based
The
on
fact
what?
that the rowing wasn't scaled week 1,
Okay.
and I'm still having to do 50 strict handstand push-ups compared to your 50.
I'm going to be a gender-neutral reporter right now. So are you saying that women are an inferior athletic specimen to males?
No.
Okay.
You can't pull that card.
Last week she beat me in 19.2, and I was like, I need to redo that workout. And she was like, cool. You know, she helped me with it. She was there like counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, keeping me on a rest clock, and I get done, and she's like, you know that doesn't count though. And I was like, fine, I know that. I tried to argue and say that we discussed having one mulligan.
No, I proposed that rule to both of you. You turned me down, so backfired. You could be
did.
3-0 right now.
Yeah.
Has he picked up any chores or anything?
I always do the chores anyway.
I've left a few extra dishes laying around for him.
Is that why you're doing that?
Yeah.
The other day I was like, Brandi, could we all put the dishes in the dishwasher and not leave them in the sink? And she's like, who's we? And I was like, you. She's like, there's only one other person in this house.
3 minutes left.
Yeah, it's just flying by.
Do you know where you are right now?
Me, 7 minutes. I think I had like 18 left.
I'm in my 20s.
In your 20s.
I was trying to do math in my head, like keep myself on a clock, because at this point it's like if you don't know your 50 strict handstand push-ups for time, or you've never done a big set like this before, like you gotta have some kind of discipline on how you cut down the rest, because if you're doing 2 reps every 5 seconds versus every 4 seconds, like that adds up over 20 sets, especially if you're doing like 2s.
Yeah, you also can't get to like true failure.
Right, that's a mistake I made.
Did you actually
No,
fail
but
me?
if you watch some of my earlier sets of 5 when I started, I was doing like 1, 2, 3, 4 really fast, and then I would pause overhead, and then my 5th one I would kind of grind out a little bit, and I think that rep was unnecessary.
Yeah, I mean,
in hindsight now, easier said than done.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
might have more. Go ahead.
Well, I was just saying the skill in this workout is, knowing your true capacity on the handstand push-ups, and like if you've tested 50, you're at a big advantage because you know about like what sets to start with. There wasn't really much shoulder fatigue at all starting into this. For me, it was just like my breathing was up because I was trying to keep up with her in the first 2 movements.
It was not the most electric atmosphere.
It wasn't.
for working out.
I always feel bad when people are there watching and like nobody's cheering during this right now.
Well, this is like everybody who's done CrossFit knows like you're in a position where you're doing strict handstand push-ups. If we started screaming, you'd be like, I know, I can't get on the wall.
This isn't a matter of will right now.
I'm not in pain. I just can't press.
Yeah, I mean, for me, as I'm getting closer here, I'm like running out of time, and I'm like, all right, I got to start giving myself a little bit of space if I want to move on and get a handstand walk. So it was turning into that where I was like, I got to take some chances.
At what point did you know that you had secured the victory?
Oh, probably 10 handstand push-ups in.
When did you know that it was not possible?
Is that a spoiler alert?
Oh, we're pretty close.
Because we don't have a rep count going right now.
You're at like 47
When he hit
or
15 in
48,
like
I think.
30 seconds.
Man, I mean...
And you have one more now, I think. You
Yeah.
kept looking at the clock, getting ready.
Yep. I was like, all right, I got to run over that line. Here we go.
Bam.
There it is.
And then you...
Did you kick
Nope,
the
not yet.
Yeah.
So I didn't even have 30 seconds.
No, well, let's leave some suspense.
Okay, here we go. Shake it out.
Runs over.
My triceps are cramping up, by the way, right now, so make sure they're nice and warm.
We're just going to ignore Brandi on the left-hand side.
Okay, that wasn't too... Oh my goodness. Look at that. Look at that
thought you
upside down
fell.
elephant. I don't know what was happening right now. Look at this guy. Go! What are you doing? No, that's gotta count.
I love that you had the good dive at the end.
Oh
to make
man,
it happen.
I need to know if that counts or not.
And hold on, can we freeze frame and for any additional talking, put Brandi's face up on the green screen behind? She's so fit.
I just gave her a little pat. I know not to say anything.
You got little signs.
Yeah. Mike
Thanks,
Madness.
Ron.
It is Mike Madness.
Yeah.
Those guys are great. All right, well,
That's it.
it's,
I think for
another exciting one.
Yeah, for pretty much everybody out there, it's going to be a lot of strict handstand push-ups.
It was another hard-earned week, but I'm proud of it. Yep.
So 2-1.
Time to go home and set up the couch to
Do you
sleep
have
well tonight.
any advice for me to beat Brandi when I do this on Saturday?
Yeah.
And I'm going to also have her help pace me, which will make her loss way worse.
Yeah. Try to go faster
great
than her on the
friends.
lunges and step-ups, and then your first set of handstand push-ups, because it's faster to go unbroken, do the biggest
Max
set.
effort?
Yeah, max effort.
Cool.
First set, go as many as you can.
To failure.
And then when you fail, don't even come off the wall, just try and press out of it.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah.
Back
Got
to
you, babe.
Back to you, Brandon and Kyle.
I cannot believe they just talked through 5 minutes of singles on handstand push-ups.
I know, man. This workout was definitely not what I expected it to be when I went out there.
Yeah.
In my head, this workout was released, and I saw people getting through all the way to the
They're gonna
finish.
crush
But
it. Yeah.
we've got something else that's important to discuss. This fish tank here. Brandon?
Yeah, so now we have our 27th fish that's been in training tank office.
27th, that sounds like we're
because
animal
Adam
killers.
always overfeeds the fish, or Mike flushes them down the toilet. One of the two, I don't know. They always disappear, and now we have this one. You got 2 options for names.
Fan vote! Fan vote!
Okay.
We got Fishy McFishface as one of our options as a play on McGoldrick, and we got 19.3. Those are the 2 options.
We know who's gonna win that, right? Like
19.3, clearly. It's everyone's favorite workout with all the handstand push-ups in it.
Fishy McFishface.
So leave your comment below with a vote.
I like
Yes.
19 point. No.
All right, so Mike won that one, but by a slim margin. You know, we pick these who's going to win, but really we just pick off of each other. So we already have an idea who's going to win each one. We figured Mike was going to win, but the reality is it was closer than I thought because the handstand push-ups ended up blowing up for both of them, where I thought Mike was going to be able to get way ahead there.
Definitely. I thought Mike actually looked worse on the handstand push-ups than I had expected. Not that he looked terrible on the handstand push-ups. Just I
that's
expected.
where a lot of people are going to be, right?
Yep.
Like that's just the reality. People think that their handstand. I mean, Mike can do 50 for time in a minute and 45 seconds, and it took him almost 5 minutes or something like that out there. It's just your shoulders are going to end up being blown up after all the work.
I think that's one of our points of performance coming up is that your shoulders are probably going to blow up. And if you make it through the handstand walk, I don't know if you just watched the entire workout and you saw how Mike looked on the handstand walk. I mean, like, Mike's a great handstand walker, and that was, I mean, he made it, but barely. And I think that's I think this should be an expectation setter. Having watched that should help to set your expectations for where you're gonna get into this workout, because I feel like a lot of people, at least I know I would have, looked at this workout and been like, I'm gonna get right through this. In 10 minutes? Yeah, no problem. Very different than expectations.
Right, and the nice thing is it's something that you can repeat and get a feel for where the handstand push-ups are. And the reality is this is gonna be 2 different types of workouts here, right? One for all the people that are really good at handstand push-ups, they can kind of push through to that and then they'll crush those, and then it's just the handstand walk at the end. And then those that really are just going to get stuck on the handstand push-ups, and you'll talk about in your warm-up how you'd warm up for the 2 different types. But the reality is again, set your expectations and know, hey, where are my handstand push-ups at? Because that's kind of the crux of the workout. Like everybody's going to get through the lunge and the box step overs. The time may change, but everyone will get through close to each other, and then the handstand push-ups will separate.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the deciding factor in this workout is the handstand push-ups. And of course, as always, all the tall people with long arms, they're going to complain about the handstand push-ups.
But they get the box step up.
Exactly.
So it evens out here.
HQ did a great job of balancing this one out.
All right, so let's talk about standards. That's where we start each week. With the overhead lunge, a couple things that are important. First, when you pick up the dumbbell to start, it does say you must stand tall in full extension before you start your lunge. So just don't be the idiot that picks it up and kind of starts right in your lunge before you have it all the way up.
You say idiot, that would be me in the workout because I'd be in a rush, right? So
especially if you're someone that's going to be submitting videos, like those that are competing, don't do that because you could get a no rep there or get a major penalty. There's no requirement to switch arms. So obviously I think it's wise to switch arms. We'll talk about it in the points of performance, but utilize the arm that you're better with. Everyone has that arm that they just feel, and I pick my right arm up because it's mine that's more comfortable overhead. Like I feel really comfortable here, whereas my left is a little bit more, there's some more instability there. So
one of the things I mentioned, and I think this might be something that can go in the points of performance as well, but maybe consider starting with your weaker of the 2 arms. That way you're fresh when you're using it, and just say you're gonna be able to get 75 feet in with your weaker of the 2 arms and then switch to your stronger arm. I think that might be a good way to actually kind of disperse some of the fatigue between the 2 arms here.
For sure. And then the last thing on the overhead lunge is if you are stepping through, which I think is a wise thing to do here, make sure that you come to full extension. Again, if you're submitting your video, you don't want to get no reps there for that. For the box step ups, and this is really cool, you can hold it any way as long as you don't touch your legs or the dumbbell touches your legs. So we saw what Mike and Brandi did, and we'll put that in the points of performance here, but I think there's some creative ways that you can hold it that won't blow you up as much as other ways by maybe like you see.
Zercher hold?
Yeah, something like that out in front, or some other, I'm sure people will come up with some things that are either really hard or really easy. Play around with that when you warm up for this, either tonight, tomorrow, Saturday, whenever you're doing it. For the strict handstand push-ups, first time that there's no line or any other rules other than just a box, which is really nice, right? So the only thing is keep your body extended and make sure that your hips don't touch the wall.
I'm sure that we're going to review some videos here. We're going to see some videos that pop up of some non-extended hips, some non-extended shoulders, and some very shallow reps. So just don't be that person who ends up with the video that gets posted everywhere because you didn't lock out. Just make sure you lock out your reps. Keep everything clean. It's the open, guys. Keep the standards.
For sure. And I know sometimes it feels like you're locked out when you're not, but that's something that you'll talk about in the warm-up, making sure that your shoulders are open so you get to that position. And then the last thing is the handstand walk. Just like last year, when you kick up your hands, the entirety of the hand, fingers and palm, must start behind the line. So if this is the line, make sure that you're kicking up close to it, but make sure you're starting behind it. I actually had a no rep a couple of my athletes last year because they thought they were behind the line, but their hand was on it. And again, we're going to try to hold everybody to the standard. So just make sure you don't do that, and especially if you're submitting video.
Err to the side of caution. So let's talk a little bit about points of performance here. What do you think the biggest keys for this workout are going to be?
Yeah, I mean, we already talked about it. It's the management of fatigue on the handstand push-ups, at least for most people.
Do you think management of fatigue going into handstand push-ups is more important, or management of fatigue during the handstand push-ups?
Yeah, so it's for 2 different types of people. The answer would be different, right? For Mike and Brandi, I think they're having to figure it out before or during the handstand push-ups how fast they can go. So Mike did a good job, and Brandi, after I think she kind of looked over at Mike and noticed he was doing singles, she kind of went to fast singles too. They started doing that, and that works on this workout, right? And one of the things we'll talk about in handstand push-ups is it's okay to go to singles or doubles on those. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. I always say there's no such thing as over-pacing. There's only over-resting. And I always tell my athletes that because the reality is everybody's scared to break up reps, but it's not the breaking up of reps that slows you down. It's the 15, 20, 30, 40-second breaks in between those breaks that actually cause the slowing down in the workout.
It's the open, which means we're always going to see someone who does singles who crushes scores I mean, it's happened every single year where people do singles on toes to bar, or singles on the bar muscle ups, or something like that ends up with not a world class, but like a really impressive score doing singles the entire time. We're going to see that same thing again this year. Someone who can just kick up, hit, kick down, and just maintain that sort of pace throughout.
Everyone's going to probably get there unless you're really elite at handstand push-ups. We saw Lauren Fisher and Chelly end up going singles and doubles during their workout. They're both really good at handstand push-ups. Obviously, Mike and Brandi are good at handstand push-ups. They started with small sets. So everyone's going to get there. You might as well just figure out the fastest path. And if that's doing singles from the get-go or doing a couple sets of 5 and then breaking it down, that's okay. And look, the reality is like you said, and it's just there's proof of content here. I had people go 10-9 on the wall balls and get 10.5 rounds on 19.1. So it's okay to break. And I had people do 5s or even 3-2s on the toes to bar and finish that workout in 17 minutes last week. So it works if you don't rest long. You just got to manage your rest there. So the same thing with the handstand push-ups here. I think that's important.
So any points of performance for the lunge or the box step-ups? Anything in particular there?
So big one on the lunge, I think, is just kind of finding where you're most comfortable. That's going to allow you to move quickly. I think everyone's going to be pretty fast off the lunge. Even if you break it up, the rest breaks will be short. So it's just making sure that you're not blowing up your shoulders. And for some people, that may be sticking with one arm for a little bit longer. Like for me, I can hold it over my right hand probably 2/3 of the time and still be comfortable, and then only use my left arm for maybe 1/3 of the lunge. I think that's going to be beneficial for some people.
What about for people who have a hard time holding the dumbbell over their head? I mean, just in general, would you say the best strategy is to alternate arms just to manage fatigue there? Or do you think that the best strategy for them is to stick with their best arm and then stop and take a rest break at each end?
Yeah, it would be athlete dependent on that, which is something that we talked about before when we were watching them. But for some of the athletes that I have that come to mind, I would actually probably prep one arm more than the other and make sure that they're focusing on that as much as they can, because typically, again, people have one arm that's a little bit better than the other. I think it's just worthwhile to get through that quickly and then manage all the other stuff as you get to it.
Not optimal from a training perspective, but optimal from a performance perspective.
Correct.
All right, how about the box step-ups?
We saw them do this, and I think that there's 2 things here that are really big. The first one is step up on the corner of the box. So I don't know if you guys can see the corner of this table, but think of the idea of like you're cutting off the edges, so you don't have to loop your knee around to get especially if you're someone that's like a little bit shorter and you're on the 24-inch box, or some of the shorter girls, the 20-inch box is even higher. So getting it to where you're on the edge makes it easier to step up and down and not have to kind of loop your hip around, okay? Right. And then the other thing is with a dumbbell, it makes sense to not have to hold it, because if you're holding it with a lot of tension anywhere, no matter what people try, if you're holding it, then when you go over the handstand push-ups, it's going to be tough because you got a bunch of blood pooling in your shoulders already.
So what you're saying is putting the dumbbell on the back of your neck and holding like this could potentially create some fatigue in the shoulders, versus putting the dumbbell on like one side or the other, where you can just keep one arm up or even potentially drop your arms, because there's no requirement to actually hold on to the dumbbell. It says it can be basically held in any way that you want, as long as your hands don't touch your legs, and as long as the dumbbell doesn't touch your legs.
Correct. So, what you said, you stated a little bit better here. Holding it on the back of your neck, which I think quite a few people are going to try to do, I think is going to be ineffective, because now you're in this position where you can already see biceps you're going to create a ton of tension here, which then creeps into the shoulder, and just hold your arms up like this for 5 minutes in a workout, right? For the lunge, and then in the box step overs, and then you get over to the handstand push-ups, you're gonna be blown up. So the reality is you wanna be able to manage that as much as you can. I played with a 50-pound dumbbell. I sat it across my trap, and I was able to relax my arms and do step-ups at a pretty fast rate. You can't jerk, because then it starts shaking a little bit, but you could literally rest it there. So play with that, and if you're not comfortable with it, then you can either cross your arm and just have it touching, so it's basically creating stability, or switch hands as you go, or what you saw Brandi do is she did 10 to 15 reps, and then she quickly switched, and then she just keep one arm relaxed the entire time. I think it's a really smart strategy.
She was off the box just a little bit ahead of Mike, despite the fact that she took that short break to switch. The other thing that I noticed is that both of them looked like they did a really good job of getting into a rhythm during the box step-ups. And I think that trying to keep it very rhythmical or very fluid is going to be much more effective than like having kind of a jerky step up or trying to be explosive. Like being explosive on a movement like that doesn't make a lot of sense, right? You want to be smooth and efficient. I've heard Adam, one of our coaches, always say like smooth is fast, fast is smooth. Yep. I think that applies on the box step-ups, because it's going to help keep your heart rate down and make it so that you're a little bit less blown up getting into the handstand push-ups.
Absolutely.
So let's go to the handstand push-ups. That's going to be a big component of this workout.
Yeah. So again, I know we've been harping on this the entire time we've been on video, but breaking those from the start or knowing your strategy before you get there is going to be extremely smart. So for the elite males and females, they may be able to do big chunks. I know you talked about you've got great handstand push-ups. Your first set may be a big set, and then you would go immediately to fast doubles or triples.
I think triples would probably be about it.
But keep the speed fast. Yep. And this is the big thing. We talked about this before, and Kyle's like, you know what? For me, I'm going to focus on feeling how fast it is and then making the decision to come off the wall. So that's something that's important. I think you see a lot of people that, I can get one more rep, but it's a grinding rep. And then what happens is now you do have to take that 15 or 20 second break. But if you can keep your reps fast, so it's 1, 2, 3, and maybe you can get 2 or 3 more, but you come off the wall, then you can keep that 3 or 4 second break.
We talked about Mike doing that when we were out there, and we saw him doing sets of 5 or 4 and 5. And I don't remember if it was like the 3rd or 4th chunk that he did. And it was like he did 3 really quick.
Yep.
And then he had to grind out 2 more reps. And then in the next set, he did 3 really quick, and he had to grind out 1 rep. If that were me, I would just stop at 3, kick down, shake out my arms, and kick right back up and do the next 3, and just keep them explosive, because I think that's going to let you do not bigger chunks, but bigger chunks, like 3s instead of 1s for a little bit longer into the workout.
Yeah, absolutely. And then one of the things that I think is just a psychological game that you can kind of play with yourself or to help you in the workout is, think of it as, I'm going to do 3 sets of 3 really fast to get to 9. And then once you get to 9, say, okay, I'm going to do 2 sets of 3 really fast to get to 15 or whatever it is. Instead of thinking about the bigger set of 50, think of it in a way of like, hey, I'm just going to do these short sets or these fast sets so that I can get to the number that I'm ultimately trying to get to. I think that helps.
I like that. Stay present with the number that you're on, not the number you're trying to get to. Yeah.
And then the handstand walk, if you get there, right? Like this is tough to really try to strategize, because you may only have a few seconds, and the handstand walks are probably going to get pretty sloppy.
Even if you have plenty of time, when you get there, you're going to be blown up. That's important to keep in mind. Like going through 50 strict handstand push-ups after all the time under tension work that you're doing before, your shoulders are going to be blown up. So it's going to be like handstand walk. Most people have not handstand walked in a workout with their shoulders blown up in the way that they're going to be in this workout. So just expect that going in. There's not much that you can do to prepare for that at this point in the game.
Right.
But I think just knowing that going into the workout can be something that's very helpful for people. Other things for handstand walks when you're really tired, like breathing gets really taxed when you're really tired during handstand walks. It's something I've noticed before, is that like I almost feel like I can't breathe. So I would almost consider maybe doing the first chunk unbroken, depending on how my shoulders felt, and then just doing shorter chunks, doing 5-foot or 10-foot chunks, and taking a break for a second, getting a couple of deep breaths, kicking up and walking 10 feet, because then you're not holding your breath for a really long time, which I know when I'm tired and I have to stabilize my spine and do all this stuff, I tend to hold my breath, and I've seen tons of athletes that do that same thing.
Yeah, that's the note that I had in here. It's okay, again, to break that also. So like, I know it's nice to be able to knock out 25 feet, but if you know you got a minute and a half, it may be wise for you to do 10, kick down really fast, do another 10, kick down, do the last 5, or just do quick 5s if you have to. Now, obviously, ideally, you'd be able to go fast on that, but I think most people, we watched Mike out there. He's a good handstand walker, he's a good handstand push-upper, but he got the handstand walks and he was pretty blown up. I think he did 15 feet and he had to come down. That's probably where you're going to be at. So again, try to get just a couple small chunks out of the way, and then maybe you can find your rhythm there. I think it's going to be much more difficult than people think, though.
To your point on small chunks of handstand walking being something that can be effective, I remember watching in 2015 that people were flying on the long handstand walk at regionals, doing 10-foot chunks just over and over and over. They would kick down, kick right back up, and do another one. If you're someone that can do that when you're tired, it's just such short time under tension finally at the end of the workout. If you can do like 10 feet, kick down, 10 feet, kick down 5, that might actually be a more effective strategy than just trying to go unbroken, even if you could.
Yeah. So the warm-up is a little different than probably a normal open workout, but walk us through what you would do.
This week, I think your warm-up should really depend on how you believe you'll handle the handstand push-ups. And I think for pretty much anybody, obviously you're going to start with an aerobic prep, but I think the need for the aerobic prep is dependent upon your capacity on handstand push-ups. So if you're someone who's going to get bottlenecked in the handstand push-ups, maybe you're gonna get there and you're gonna do them in singles from the beginning, and you're like got the hope and pray strategy where it's like a single, and then you're coming back to the wall like a minute later and hoping that you can get another one. I don't think aerobic prep is that important for this workout. I'm not gonna say that you shouldn't do an aerobic prep before you get going, but let's face it, like you're gonna get into the workout and then you're just gonna be doing 1 rep and walking around for a minute before you get back to do another rep. If you're someone who's going to fly through the handstand push-ups, and I think I have some athletes who might be able to do them in 2 chunks or 3 chunks, those people, the workout is going to be a fast-paced workout. There's going to be a lot of breathing, and when they get to the handstand walk, like I mentioned before, the breathing is going to be a big component. So making sure that they take care of some basic, long aerobic prep work before they start. So something like a ski and assault bike combo, it's going to get your shoulders warmed up, going to get your legs warmed up. I think that's your starting point. For movement prep, this is where I would spend the most of my time warming up for this workout. I'd focus on hips, things like lunge and reach, glute bridges, glute marches, put it on a mini band and actually getting my glutes fired up because I know that 200 feet of walking lunge is going to get my glutes all lit up. Shoulders, I would do scap rotations. I would go through some elevated cat stretch to really open up my shoulders, and then yoga push-ups. My favorite prep for handstand push-ups, just press and go into like that downward dog position and really open up your shoulders. Then another thing that I think a lot of people tend to overlook when you're doing handstand push-ups, people have a tendency to strain their necks. So going through some neck prep, just like basic seated neck retractions or standing neck retractions, and going through some joint rotations, like essentially moving the neck through the ranges of motion that it's going to be taxing. I think that's something that can potentially spare some people some really sore necks in the next couple of days, especially when their shoulders get blown up and they're crashing down on their neck, which you're going to see potentially. And then for the handstand walk, warm up handstand walking kick up. So like just kick up into a handstand, stretch out your wrist, kick right back down. It'll help you get some control. And when you're tired, having good control over your handstand walk is probably more important than just walking fast. And then finally, the last piece here, I would just touch all the movements in isolation, warm up the actual overhead walking lunge, warm up the box step up, warm up the handstand push-ups, and then just quickly connect some of the movements. So do a walking lunge into a couple step ups, do a couple handstand push-ups in the walking lunge so you can kind of feel what that combo is going to be like. I don't think I would do long intervals or anything like that. Rest and hit the workout.
Awesome. So you're saying you wouldn't jump into a bunch of intervals like you typically would for 16-2
I don't think I would for this workout.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, and especially if you know that the handstand push-ups are going to bottleneck you, I think it's more important to make sure that you're prepped for the lunging and the box step-ups.
Yeah, and not do 25 handstand push-ups in your warm-up.
For sure. Awesome. That's it for us tonight, guys. Stay tuned. Max will have second thoughts on Saturday. Travis versus Trevor. Last week I screwed that all up. Travis versus Trevor's on Monday. Hopefully Trevor will come out again. He's been eating all 3 weeks, baby. So we'll see that. Enjoy it. Talk to you guys soon.